Well, I'm Victor Ndoma. I served in the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for 12 years. I was Deputy Senate Leader. I was Senate Leader, Deputy Senate Leader in the 6th Senate, and Senate Leader in the 7th Senate. I'm also a Senior Advocate of Nigeria. I'm currently Chairman, Niger Delta Development Commission. I was born in Cross River State on the 8th of March, 1956, in Ikom. Ikom is right in the middle of Cross River State. Parents that I prefer to call transitional parents, because they had the advantage of Western education, but at the same time remained very traditional people. My father set out initially as a teacher before he became a civil servant, before going to England to read law, and became a High Court judge and rose to the Court of Appeal before he retired. My mother set out as a teacher. Before going into politics, she became the first woman in the then Eastern region to be a chairman of a county council, what is now a local government council. She returned to the civil service and retired as a social worker. Graduated in 1977, was called to the bar in 1978. So I belong to the famous 1978 set, the same set as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, with about 36 senior advocates, so that's it. I think I have some political DNA. Yeah, I took the political side from her and the legal side from my father, But I've always been a political person, right from youth. I always was the spokesman for my peers, so I played politics even as a child growing up. I have had occasions to say that life is the sum total of the choices that we make. When I chose to read law, and I ended up practicing law because my initial plan was not to practice law but to teach law, to be a law teacher and become a professor of law. But when it became evident that I was going to practice, I had to make some choices. What did I need first? The name or the money? The money you could make, but you could also lose. So I opted for the name. So what was the easiest way for me to make the name? To start practicing in a small environment. So I opted to go to Abuja. I could easily have practiced out of Lagos, or Port Harcourt, or Kano. But I made a deliberate choice to go to a small town where I could make an impression quicker, and that was what I did. So I set out practice with Kanu Agabi S.A.N., former Attorney General of the Federation. I was his first junior, from Ogoja, and it worked the way I had hoped. In no time, I had made the name. And because I was very young, I was 23 when I started practice, I had to make some other choices. Do I be the 23-year-old that I was and be treated as a 23-year-old, or I needed to be seen as a lawyer? So I made the deliberate choice of wanting to be seen as a lawyer. So I divorced myself from everything that 23-year-olds did and tried to be an adult as quickly as I could, running my own house. And in no time I had to run Senator Agabi's practice, because soon after I joined him, he was appointed the Commissioner for Finance under the government of Dr. Clement Isong. So I just had to drop. I had made up my mind to grow up, and circumstances also made it possible for me to grow up. Yes, I was still with Senator Kanu Agabi when I was appointed commissioner at the age of 27.
Wow.
I spent a little under 3 years as a commissioner, and then set up my own practice. Incidentally, my practice was 30 years in May this year, 21st of May this year. Well, I think the circumstances are historical. If you look at those who fought for Nigeria's independence, they were mainly in their 20s. Only a few, maybe like Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe and Awolowo, were in their 30s. The rest were in their 20s. My Tamasule, who just died, the good Lord rest his soul, was in his 20s as minister. King Alfred Yetes was governor of Rivers State, that is today's Rivers and Bayelsa, at the age of 24. So I think that it's Gowon, General Gowon, was head of state as military president at 32. And we can go on and on and on. And from my part of the world, Chief M. Timbu was minister at 24. You know, that is long before my own generation, long before my own generation. Now, I would have felt embarrassed if, as a young lawyer at 23, I was referred to as a youth. I would have felt embarrassed. So I think youth is defined more by responsibility and historical burdens, you know. But what do you find today? A 60-year-old is a youth leader and is proud to introduce himself as a youth leader. I am not aware of any law, apart from the Constitution, that says for you to be in the House of Representatives, you should be 30, in the Senate, you should be 35, for president you must be 40. But to the best of my knowledge, there's no law limiting any young person from assuming the kind of responsibilities that you want to assume. In the Scottish Parliament, there's a young lady who is under 20. She's not Nigerian. Across the world, young people are assuming more and more responsibilities. We have a French Prime Minister now who is just 39. We have a new Prime Minister in Ireland who is in his 30s, you know. So, today's generation, is it distracted? Do they have interests that take them away from leadership? How are they expressing themselves to assume leadership? Is the environment contributory? I don't know. But when I became what I became, I didn't think that anybody was blocking me. But what do you hear today? Oh, he's been around for too long. Let him go so that another person moves him. Even if I left, they are not going to make you senior advocate. You have to earn it. You know? And the sky is enough for everybody. Everybody's standing out there. They will have enough of the sun on him or her. So I think that the younger generation must do some introspection. How old was Alexander when he became Alexander the Great? How old was Hannibal? You know, how come the youth in Japan or in China is different from the youth in Nigeria? There are certain social values that are a given in those countries. Today, do we want to work or we want to be rich? A few years ago, I gave a lecture in the University of Nigeria. It was on accountability. And I started with a question. that how many of you here perceive me as corrupt? And all hands went up. Why do you perceive me as corrupt? He said, because you're a politician. I said, okay. How many of you want to be millionaires 3 years after graduation? They all raise their hands. You want to be a millionaire after 3 years and you are not corrupt? you get the point. So there are cultures that insist on a certain work ethic. Do we want to work, or we want shortcuts to wealth? So I think it's a combination of several factors actually. They should make the proper choices. When the Civil War broke out, was 10 going 11. I remember an auntie's husband calling all the young people in the compound together and asked us the meaning of war. And we're giving various understandings of war when people are fighting. He said war is a situation that makes you become an adult overnight. And he told us, if you have to run and you miss your way, you have somewhere, you must always know where you are running to. And you miss your way, or you are confused about which road to take, and you stop somebody to. He says, oh, this road goes to this place, is shorter, this one is longer. Always use the longer route, because the shorter route leads to an early death. Shortcuts take you nowhere. Take you absolutely nowhere. What takes you somewhere is that tedious toil, that tedious sweat. Building one block after another block, making 1 naira after another naira, and the discipline to remain focused. You must be focused. You must have a sense of mission. You must have the vision, and then the discipline to pursue your mission and your vision. I actually set out to be a Catholic priest.
Wow.
So you're talking to a failed priest.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. We create time for things that are important to us. We always do. For the drunkard, he must find time to drink. For the womanizer, he must find time to womanize. For me, my sporting activities are a daily part of my schedule. The moment is 5:30. Don't discuss business with me. I'm going to play tennis, and I'll play tennis for 2 hours.
Wow.
Yes. And I play with young men and young women who are professional tennis players. You know. So for me, my game of tennis, every day the weather permits. And then I have always been attracted to the printed world of this love of books, you know. I see a bookshop, I instinctively enter the bookshop, instinctively. So I do a lot of reading, I do a lot of writing, and I play tennis.